Good morning,
Okay.
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Hightop Sports. As we know, massive day tomorrow, National Signing Day. Things are heating up. Billy and the boys are hot on the trail, so we know we had to do. Had to go to our guy on 3, Keith Nabeer, to get some insight. We had him on last week, and he was dialed in. Everybody he talked about, everyone we thought could happen, has happened, and then some. So I want to get his thought and perspective of what's going to happen tomorrow on National Signing Day. Could there be the big splash? Could there be the big whale? Could we be manipulated with? I don't know. Keith Nabeer joined us today. Keith, how we doing, man? Talk to us.
I'm good. I'm looking at your scroller down there, and the first one that popped up, it said FSU sucks, and I just started laughing. No, everything's good. I mean, I know I get a rap for being a little negative, but, honestly, it's been a few weeks of just nirvana for Gator fans. I mean, you're winning games. You're flipping guys left and right. And I was talking to some people. I did another show earlier today. Forgive me, I'm battling a little bit of a sickness here, but a show out of Alabama that I've done for years. And we said, the three of us agreed, we have never seen a program do a 180 like this fast on the recruiting trail. This is one for the ages. And right now, Florida's sitting at 11th in our rankings. As we record this, it could change. 11th in the On3 recruiting team rankings. And they've got a real good chance to finish in the top 10. Now, who would have thought that was possible at all just a few weeks ago? So it's all come together, and it's been one hell of a run for Florida. And you got to tip your cap to everybody involved: coaches, players, DJ Lagway, NIL. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, as a Gator fan, it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to be a part of. We've talked about it on our show a multitude of times of like, this just feels unreal, right? Just how much we've been able to heat up and do all these great things. And like you said, like a nirvana, like we kind of feel like when's the shoe going to drop, like the gotcha moment. With the names heating up here towards the end, I know a lot of names. Solomon Thomas, you and I talked about that. Tavarius Dice was the name you and I talked about. He has committed. Lagonza Hayward has been crystal balled on the On3 sites by Chad Simmons and Wilt Fong. There's obviously the Jamie French situation. That one seems to be lucid right now as well. Are there other names that you're hearing that could be a possibility? Also, we would love a big surprise. You were mentioning maybe there's always a possibility because it is such a, right now, anything can happen. When you get this close to National Signing Day, who knows what could happen? Talk to us about that.
Well, first of all, the guys I like to commit. Well, I feel very good about Lagonza Hayward. I mean, he decommitted from Tennessee on Sunday while he was in Gainesville. That's probably a pretty good sign, but Georgia has been working on him too. But we feel good about Florida's chances there. Onis Kananbani is a defensive back, a cornerback, committed to Tennessee right now. He's going to announce a decision on Wednesday. Florida's trending in the right direction there. That still sort of could go either way, but I think confidence is building in Gainesville somewhat. But, this is going to sound like a cop-out, but a surprise is a surprise by definition. So anything that might happen that we would consider surprise probably to me would be somebody we're not talking about. But of the guys we're talking about, I mean, look, they're still swinging with Solomon Thomas. The latest is that might be a difficult one to get, but they're still swinging. And again, at this point, you don't count Florida out of any recruitment. Maybe a year ago or 2 years ago you did. You don't right now. So still working on 5-star offensive lineman. Solomon Thomas committed to FSU. LSU maybe generating the most chatter right now, but Florida's still in it. Jamie French, 4-star receiver, committed to Texas. Teammates at Mandarin and Jacksonville with Tramel Jones, the Gators quarterback commit. Hilton Stubbs, the safety commit for Florida. They're in his ear. And I've had somebody close to me say, hey, look, I don't care what people are saying. Texas can be as confident as they want, but Jamie French is a different kind of dude. And this person says, I've known him a long time. It's not over till he signs the papers, right? So Florida's still swinging there, still swinging maybe with Dallas Wilson in Tampa, although I think a 5-star receiver, they're probably locked in with Oregon at this point. But again, a guy could wake up tomorrow and have a different feeling. Myron Charles, defensive lineman, committed to Texas. Florida's still swinging there. And, there's probably, listen, I don't know how to say this, but people are reaching out to Florida now. It's not always the other way around. So down the stretch as a staff, you'll throw out some feelers just in case. Hey, let's check in with this 5-star just in case.
Ooh.
Well, they keep those pretty tight-lipped, okay? They keep those pretty tight-lipped. So my guess is they're still checking, not guess, I know this for a fact. They're still checking in on guys that are big-name guys just to throw that line out there. Just see if you get a nibble. Maybe you get a guy to wait an extra day to see what else shakes out across the country. Maybe there's a position we're not thinking about, and they're saying, you know what? Let's strike while the iron's hot. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but there's a reason why intel gets harder to pick up as you get late in the game here. If they're throwing a line out to somebody, it stands to reason you don't want Ohio State to know, or Alabama to know, or USC to know about that. In October, they're going to find out about it. But the day before signing day, they might not find out about it. They're trying to play into that lagway effect big time. NIL position is much better than it was 3-4 weeks ago. So you just don't know. And again, I know that sounds like a cop-out, but you have to be prepared. When you're on a run like this, you've got to be prepared for anything. Now, maybe nothing happens, and maybe it's anticlimactic tomorrow on signing day. But it's only anticlimactic in that scenario because Florida flipped so many guys the last 2 weeks.
Sure.
They could have had all those guys wait till tomorrow, by the way. Could you imagine that?
Oh,
Everybody be bitching right now. And
yeah.
then tomorrow be euphoric, and I'd be hooked up to an IV machine with, 8 gallons of Gatorade next to my workstation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's funny. People are going to, if Florida only picks up 1 or 2 guys tomorrow, let's say, people say, boy, that was kind of anticlimactic. But it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Okay. It's just they got all the hay in the barn before then. By the way, let me point out one other thing. Florida still has to work to hold on to certain guys.
Sure.
Okay. People are trying to pluck your guys. So FSU's trying to recruit Tashawn Gelsey, the 4-star receiver tight end hybrid. And if you're a Gator fan, you're like, well, why would he go to FSU? And believe me, they're a train wreck right now. Okay. But well, let's just, they know that. I mean, they're trying to get it.
No, I love it.
They know that. They're fans. I got a lot of people I grew up with that are FSU fans. Trust me, they know. Okay. But he wants to play. He may want to be just solely a receiver. And if that's the case, and that wasn't a Freudian slip, that was just a slip of words. If he wants to play solely receiver, FSU may give him that opportunity. So he may say, listen, they're not as good as Florida, but I always liked FSU. I'm going to roll the dice. So that's always a possibility. Now, we think Florida is probably going to hold on to Tashawn Gelsey, but you don't rule it out the other way either, because each individual is going to try to find the best situation for themselves. So again, on the surface, one program looks like it's doing this, the other one looks like it's doing this, but maybe for an individual, he may find a better fit somewhere else. And
Sure.
Again, and that's how Florida. We got some news here.
It was brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money find you any subscriptions you forgot about, or any you paid for twice and didn't realize it? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscription, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I love Rocket Money. What it's been able to do helps you, again, manage your money. It's like a little personal account in your pocket. Like Stephen Harris helps us, keep us accountable. That's what Rocket Money does. Keeps us accountable, managing our money, pull it up. See how the wife spent a lot for Christmas this past month here. She's getting a little out of control. Had to hit her with the text like, hey, we gotta lock it down, okay? I understand it's been the holidays, but we got to trim this thing up a little bit. The winter is coming. Let's lock it in. So it shows you where things are going. It's fantastic. On top of, again, showing your unwanted subscriptions. We'll be signing up for nonsense, just trying trials and forget about it. Rocket Money helps you with that. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Go to rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. That's rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. Now back to the show, baby.
Oh,
All right.
no.
As we're recording this,
Let's go, Keith.
Jakeem Jackson is entering the transfer portal, it looks like, the Florida secondary player. So let me just double check this real quick. So, it's just one of those things. They're working to hold on to Nashawn Montgomery. He is a 4-star receiver that Louisville is pushing for, right? They're working to hang on to one more guy. Who is it? Working to hang on to one more guy. Oh, a big one. Jeremiah McLeod, defensive lineman. Georgia has been pushing. We're trying to figure out what Georgia's doing right now, right? And so you got to hold on. I know I'm talking in circles, but I got some text there.
No, I love it. Let's roll. We're good.
You got all these things spinning, right? You got to hold on to the guys you got. You're trying to finish off, get to the finish line with other guys, and then you're casting that line out in the water, hoping you can land Jaws, right? You know what I mean? So you're doing all these things at once, and the confluence of events make it a little bit crazy at times, but they're in a great position, man. I've got them. If they land the 2 guys I think they could land tomorrow, and if it's just those 2, then they probably will finish in the top 10. Very good class, man. you know?
Very good. So Jakeem Jackson, we've been talking a little bit about the guys entering into the portal and whatnot. And look, Jakeem Jackson is, I mean, look, loved him, great kid. You see what's happening on the recruiting trail and these guys that are coming in and what we were able to do. And even with the youth movement, didn't see much of Jakeem Jackson there at the end. So look, to Gator fans, and we were talking about it, the names I've heard thus far, I hate to see them go, right? Because we followed Jakeem Jackson. We followed, I want to say we had him on the show, if I don't remember correctly. Phenomenal young man. Wish him nothing but the best, but you kind of see the writing on the wall. It's like, hey, you're fighting an uphill battle at the moment. I love, though, again, like you said, the surprise, that it is a surprise. And I love that. I've said that this whole time. It's like, look, that tells me that things are really cooking in the right direction. Now, you guys do everything you can to figure things out, but they still want to be able to keep things close knit, so you don't have an Ohio State or whatever team they're going after to be able to squeeze in there right at the end. And so when we're seeing these guys kind of being pushed out, like the Jakeem Jackson and Bryce Capers, that tells me that there's certain targets they're going after, then some, and not only recruiting, but in the portal. So look, those names, we would talk about those names. The Jamie French one reminds me of kind of like what Xavier Filsaime was last year, right? Like Florida had him, and then right at the end there, Texas comes in and swoops him up. And that was kind of the same kind of vibe. It's like, look, he kept saying he was with Florida, but everybody was like, this just doesn't seem right. And that's kind of how we are now with Jamie French, which is exciting. It feels good to hopefully, possibly be on the other side of it. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but portal's only a couple days away. Have you even looked into that yet? Or even started to that part of that world? Or we're just getting through tomorrow first?
Yeah, well, I am just getting through tomorrow first. But Zach Albaverde, who works with me, he put up something yesterday, and I can't give it all away. We have these premium stories. That's where we make our money, right?
Sure.
And Zach would kill me if I'm giving out all his information for free. But Zach had a story yesterday on where the biggest, and he's well sourced, okay? He had a story yesterday on the top 5 positions of need for Florida Gators in the portal. I'll give you a couple of them. I mean, obviously receivers one, and then offensive tackles another, but there are others. Look, we don't even know. Like a receiver says announces this week they're going in the portal, and people are like, you got to go after them. Well, they're going to evaluate all these guys, but there may be bigger guys coming. All right,
yeah.
You can assume there are bigger guys coming, and also Florida's a hot program right now. I guarantee you there are third parties and agents and all that stuff. I'm sure the feelers are already out there, okay? Because there is some real confidence over at Gators headquarters that Florida can do really well in the portal, particularly at receiver and offensive tackle. And I talked about this on another show. At offensive tackle, where you've got the situation. Did I lose you there? Oh, here we go.
We're here.
I've got calls coming in. They're going into my computer, all that stuff. At offensive tackle,
it's recruiting season, Keith.
Yeah. Look, if you're an elite guy, you say, man, I can play with Lagway. Okay, that's great, but what's the benefit of him playing with Lagway? Well, one, I might be able to win, but two, what's the big thing? If I'm playing with DJ Lagway, all eyes are going to be on that left tackle, right? All eyes are going to be on that left tackle.
For sure.
That's a pretty damn appealing thing to sell to a young guy, because there's going to be NFL scout after NFL scout at every Florida game next year just looking at Lagway. Forget about all the other guys. Just looking at Lagway. Well, when you're looking at DJ Lagway, you're going to be looking at the guy that's protecting his blind side, right? So there's a lot of confidence, optimism, confidence, all that stuff in Gainesville, that they're going to be a program that not only is looking for guys, but guys are looking for them, and that's a good problem to have, man. If people are calling you, that's a damn good problem to have. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know that they had that problem last year or the year before. Okay. And they had to do a lot of work in the portal, and now I feel like it's just, again, this is all part of what we're saying. Look, on the field, there's still a lot of work to be done, work in progress. Didn't look great against FSU, still won easily. That's a good sign. Really had to fight to beat LSU and Ole Miss. Those were tough games that could have gone either way, all right? They could have lost those games, and they'd be sitting at, whatever right now, 5-7, and maybe there wouldn't be this much buzz. But they won them. They won them, and they've taken advantage of it. You've got Billy coming back. You've got NIL, doing things again, which they couldn't do a month or two ago because they didn't know what the situation was.
Sure.
You've got kids that want to play with Lagway. The Swamp was as alive as it's been in a long time, okay? Can't remember a season that was that energetic in the Swamp for a 7-5 team.
Yeah.
So many good vibes, right? You got to strike while the iron's hot, man. And the great thing about the portal window, it's short. Like it starts the 9th, and what day does it end? I think people can laugh.
It's only 30 days. It's only 30 days now.
But the way I look at it, I don't even look at it that way. I just say, look, if you want a guy in by January
1st, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, January, whatever the last day of drop ad is or whatever they call it these days. So mid-January, let's say. It's a small window. But what have we learned these last few weeks? I'm not trying to be condescending here, but what have we learned these last few weeks? In a small window, Florida's kicking some ass on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, with little room to breathe.
In a small window, they have flipped guys. They have come back on guys that people didn't think they have any prayer on. That tells me that these guys might be well conditioned to work in a fast-paced next 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because of what they just did. And they got to strike while the iron's hot. It's a hot program. Get kids on campus. Get in on them early. I think that here's another thing about the portal. People are like, oh, this guy was a 5-star. Man, I don't care what the guy was ranked in high school. I don't care. What have they done in college? Because if you're looking at a receiver, okay, maybe you could take one project out of the portal. But the portal ain't for projects, guys. The portal for Florida, because they built a program on the back end through high school recruiting, the portal should be used to upgrade your roster right now. Right now. Okay? So guy like Micah Hudson, 5-star receiver, is going in the portal from Texas Tech. I think he just played his freshman year. He caught like 8 passes last year. He hadn't done anything. He hadn't proven anything. He may end up being fantastic. They want guys that are going to come in right now and not only be as good as DK and Badger, but what I'm told, they think they can go get guys that are better than DK and Badger. Because as good as DK and Badger were, again, Florida was 7-5. It's now time to take a step or 2 or 3 forward. They feel like they can do that through the portal to add them as complements to what they already have built through high school recruiting.
Keith got me fired up this morning, boys and girls. I love it. 2 things that you said that I wanted to go, which, again, I love the fact that we're hearing guys calling in. And like you said, I don't feel like that was ever a case last year. I feel like Florida was always on the chasing tail perspective of things. And then I forgot what else I had lined up for you. It was a good one, too. But
I forget everything. Don't worry, man.
Dude, you're getting me so fired up. Just kind of talk. Oh, yeah, the record. You talked about the swamp being electric. And look, we kind of were like, the schedule was a gauntlet. It's tough. It's what have you. And I kept seeing, I'm like, yeah, it may be a gauntlet. But as a fan, I loved it. I love that every week that we had to come in, it was something to look forward to. And it looks like it's paying dividends now because, like you said, the swamp was electric every single week because even though the record maybe not had been as exciting as we wanted it to be, after that Tennessee game, there was a sense of a hope of like, we can beat anybody on the rest of the schedule outside that Texas game, but that was away, so it doesn't matter. There was a sense that, hey, we could beat everybody. And then, of course, the LSU game happens, and then it's like, okay, full steam ahead. And so there was a little bit of a pro there of like, hey, maybe we maybe took a shot in playing a harder schedule, but now it's paying the dividends because we were able to really sell the sexiness that is the swamp, that is playing for Florida, that is playing for DJ Lagway. They saw what it was when he was there and how just amplified the stadium was. But man, Keith, fantastic stuff, dude. This has been awesome. I appreciate you coming on here. Plug where they can find you. I know you're going to be busy tomorrow. Let them know.
Yeah, just go to GatorsOnline.com. I think we got a deal right now. I think this is the last day, actually, but for 7 days, it's $1. That gets you through signing day. That gets you into the start of portal season. Give it a try. You may hate us. Some people do. You know what I mean? Again, I'm always apparently too negative. I'm trying to figure out what I'm negative.
I feel like you've been very positive today. I feel like you're flipping me. You're flipping everybody.
I just try to be realistic, man. I don't want to. I remember at different places where people were like, we're getting this guy, we're getting that guy. And then on signing day, when it doesn't happen, people were like devastated. And it's like, I'd rather be cautious than if they get the big guy, everybody's thrilled instead of the opposite. Hey, you told me we were getting this guy. You know what I mean? So I'm always going to be cautious. But look, Florida's got some real momentum right now. And I think this team, when you look back, only a few teams can win championships. And I think when you look back on this team in 2024, it's going to be fondly remembered because they were left for dead on the side of the road, right? Left for dead. And they turned it around by playing hard every snap, by fighting against teams nobody thought they had a chance in hell to beat. And they finished strong. And now you're seeing the rewards of that on the recruiting trail. So it's been, like I said, I've talked to people, and we don't think we've seen a turnaround like this ever. ever. I've been doing this a long time. A complete 180. A complete 180 where people thought just 2 months ago, man, that Florida's recruiting class, the only way it would be worth a crud is if they fired Billy Napier.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not only did they not fire Billy Napier, now they're on the verge of a top 10 class. The program's got some momentum. Again, let's be realistic. Work in progress on the field. They know that. That's not being negative. Billy Napier knows that. He said that. You've said that. But there are now signs. There's signs. The Gator fan's got the long beard and he's walking out of the desert and he can see the beach. You know what I mean? And the pretty girls on the beach and the drinks and the food
It's so
being grilled.
close.
It's right there, man. You know? So,
it feels good.
Gators on. To answer your question, GatorsOnline.com.
Yep. And then follow you, of course, on 3 Keith on X, man. It's been a pleasure. It's so fun to talk to you. I will be following your page tomorrow, Keith, as it gets ramped up for National Signing Day. Guys, go give Keith a follow. It's going to be crazy tomorrow. So, man, we're going to be live here on the show. Of course, we've been telling you we'll be live. I think Vernell Brown signs at 9:35. I want to say Jimmy French. Do you have the times, Keith? One last question. Do you?
We're working on those times right now.
Okay.
We're working on those times. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, these guys they change it, so it's hard to kind of keep tabs on it. But we do the best that we can. So we'll be rocking. We'll be live all day tomorrow. Fantastic information there from Keith. Like he said, the striking while the iron is hot. It's cool to be a Gator. We've always known that, but the players starting to see that it's be cool. So be sure to smash the like button, boys and girls. Subscribe. Go give Keith and On 3 the guys a follow and some love. And we'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.